everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation on the rights of nature. My name is Joanna Salinas, and I am the Outreach Coordinator for the Waukesha County Green Team. If you're unfamiliar, the Waukesha County Green Team is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're located in Waukesha County, which is just to the west of Milwaukee County here in southeastern Wisconsin. So the goal of the Waukesha County Green Team is to promote sustainability throughout the county. And we do that by working on issues of renewable energy and land use and waste and water. And we work with municipalities, organizations, residents, school districts. And one of the projects of the Waukesha County Green Team is the Waukesha County Creation Care Network, which is sponsoring this program tonight. So the Waukesha County Creation Care Network is designed to develop, support, mentor, and inspire creation care teams in faith communities through sharing resources, programs, and ideas. So everyone is welcome, whether you are engaged with a team or not. So tonight, we are honored to welcome our presenter, Anahkwet, whose English name is Reiter. Anahkwet is a traditional Menominee from Wisconsin, a member of the Menominee Constitutional Taskforce, and executive director of a grassroots community organization. Anahkwet's also a local organizer, activist, author, amateur archaeologist, and a lecturer. So recently, if you're not familiar, Milwaukee County became the first in Wisconsin to pass a rights of nature resolution. So tonight we're going to explore what a rights of nature resolution means and shed some light on how recognizing these rights can lead to a more sustainable and harmonious coexistence between humans and the environment. So tonight is a regular Zoom meeting. If you're watching this recorded, you'll hear us mention Zoom a couple of times. We are recording this, so we ask that everyone keeps themselves muted. And if you have any questions throughout the evening, just drop them in the chat and we will address them after Anahkwet's presentation. So without further ado, I would like to share my screen and welcome Anahkwet.
Yeah, so. Waiwanan mauni wea keo saitua. Anahkwet Menikahnaehkem wapashia nitotem kashitna nitski wakian. Waiwanan mauni natana we makanak mashikta yum mauni wea keo saitua. Mashikta yum minatowak mauni pichi hatua eos. Waiwanan katanan mauni kako. In this case, Menikahnaehkem Salpatch, Pamatasia Mashik Miskoswin, Mawani, Natanoe Makanak, Mashiktim, Nature Matno Manewak, Mamache Tawakaos, Waiwanan. So my English name is Reiter. My real name is Anahkwet, and I kind of carry a couple different hats currently. I am the executive director of the organization called Menikahnaehkem, which is located here on the Menominee Indian Reservation. Right now, we kind of work in three different areas. We do youth leadership development. We also do environmental justice is kind of really how we got started. And we do quite a bit of food sovereignty work. We do have I think we're up to 15 buffalo right now on our farm. We have like 80 acres currently, looking to expand as we kind of grow. I just wanted to give you a little bit of that. But I also am like the director of the Rights of Nature of Wisconsin. I think I hold that title more by default, maybe, or I don't know. But I'm honored to be a part of that and honored to be here and thanking the Wisconsin Green Team for the invitation and all the others that put things on like this. I know it's not easy and I'm very appreciative. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background of how I came into rights of nature work. So in 2015, there was a potential project called the Back 40 mine. Maybe some of you have heard about it. It was a sulfide mine. We're trying to put in on the banks of the Menominee River. And the Menominee River is called the Menominee River because it's our origin story, place that our people come from. We are the longest living inhabitants of this area. Every other tribe has a migration story, but the Menominee don't. We come from the mouth of the Menominee River. So the mine that was potentially going to be there, we've been pushing back against it since 2015, and that's kind of how our organization started. It was just a bunch of people come together to work on how are we going to be the opposition to this mine, and after getting a few wins and then getting a few more wins, and then I was just like, shoot, if we can do this, well, like let's tackle food sovereignty in our community. Let's tackle youth development and leadership. And the other things we kind of try to look through the lens of our sacred language. Now, when I introduced myself in our language. That is the original language of this land. It is not a foreign language. It comes from here, and we try to use it as much as we can. I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but I can definitely poke fun at a few people here and there. So I do all right. So that's kind of, it was just anybody that's been involved, and I'm sure a lot of you folks that are on this call understand being an environmentalist or being in that kind of organization or movement is tough cookies. You get 10 doors slammed in your face to one, that opens, and it's very fulfilling, of course, but it also is extremely tough, and it's a tough sell sometimes. And working against a multi-million-dollar extraction company there, it was just, what do you do with no money to fight a multi-million-dollar extraction company? And we came up with all the ideas and thoughts we could do, and came up with some fantastic things. And we always kind of felt like the Menominee Indian tribe is the absolute essential part of this whole thing. They hold the big stick in the fight, should I say. And all of us will just support whatever it is the tribe wants, whatever the tribe does, and things. And of course, I'm being a tribal member, I'm involved and all those things. And it was just a lot of late nights. It was a lot of back-to-back situations like this where I was talking to organizations, I was talking to the federal government, lobbying in DC, lobbying at the state, going around the country, just talking wherever, and any place that would have me to talk. And it was out of like that understanding and that kind of movement that when I caught wind of Rights of Nature, I started to like dig into it a little bit, see what was going on. And I thought, man, oh man, like I'm, for the last 12 years or whatever it was, at the time when I got into Rights of Nature, it was like, I've been on the defensive this whole time. I'm always reacting to whatever the government does or whatever the company does. And it's always, you're always one step behind and trying to catch up all the time. To me, Rights of Nature was the kind of putting the shoe on the other foot, in a sense, is that, hey, like let's draft our own laws, right? Let's think what it could be to put these organizations on their back heels and let them react to what we're doing. And the other thing is when I research more about Rights of Nature, it's deeply indigenous values and morals that are within it. I mean, it's something new, but yet very, very old, and I could really connect with it pretty easily. And also, I was pretty naive when I started my organizing against the Back 40 mine, and I thought at that time, it was like, we have the Clean Water Act. that's all we have to do is just let's read that thing and like apply it to this fight, and we got a winner kind of a thing. And after I read it, I was like, oh my God, this doesn't help in any way. You know, it's really the opposite of that. So this is kind of the way I got into rights of nature, and my history goes back further. I was involved as a kid during the Chippewa Ojibwe hunting and fishing rights. For some of you older folks that have been around Wisconsin for a while, if you remember that in the late 80s, early 90s, and the fight against the Exxon mine up in Crandon. That was like mid 90s, right around that time. I was never like a, leader or any kind of thing like that. I was really just dragged there by my aunts and uncles at the time, and participated in that way. But good thing I was there, and I learned lots of things, and I hold some of those memories even to this day. By looking at me, you might think that I'm, 18, 19 years old and extremely handsome and all those things, but really I'm 44, so I kind of been around a little bit. It's hard for me still to come to terms with that number. I'm thinking, man, that's wow. I don't know what happened to me, but here I am at 44. But we could advance it to the next slide. So I wanted to really just briefly talk about this stuff. Oh, are you on the first one? The first slide doesn't, right there, yeah. Okay, so we'll just give you the rough definition of it. Rights of nature, as you can read, they're recognition by legislation or a court decision of legal rights of nature, species, or ecosystems. So this rights of nature, like I stated earlier, is a really old concept, and our people go very far back. In my introduction, I introduced my name and my clan and where I'm currently residing, and in the recognition of that clan, the clan for me is a Martin clan, and it's a like a feisty little animal that is in the forest. And a lot of times there is a you take a lot of those characteristics, of those animals, and there's certain aspects of them that you will display, and it's just this really beautiful relationship. But not only that, our tribe also is made up of clans of animals, and the Menominee tribe has 5 principal clans, which is the bear, eagle, moose, wolf, and crane. And there's quite a few of those members, within our tribe, that each one of them carry on different aspects of those animals, and there's different roles that they play and things they need to do with that clan. It made me think of also, just to kind of give you an idea about rights of nature, and it made me think of there's a word in our language called Koko Maso Kamakana is the word, and it's a big long word, and I was trying to think of like how would I say environment, or what's the word there, but that word is really talking about the whole earth as a old grandmother, and how essential she is to us in our lives, and how we're connected to her. So that word is one way I think about it, and in our language, there's really no there's no like somebody's got it. There's no word for like just a grandmother. That grandmother needs to belong to somebody. She can't just be floating out there on her own. And the language is a really deep relationship building language. It's a really love language. It's quite beautiful, and the language that I'm speaking now is almost the opposite of that. It's a deficit thinking language. It's a language out of fear, based on fear, and it sees problems and it builds whole things around those problems, and it's a a big difference in it. Sometimes it's hard to translate in English, very simple things in our language, but it really is a worldview. So rights of nature, is almost a way of life in the way we think about it, and it's understanding that I am of this place. I am just as connected to it as a plant is, as an animal is. And I'm just as crucial and critical as those things to this ecosystem, to this way of life. So, if you want to kick it to the next slide. So the some of the key. I think you went one. There you go. So I just wanted to quickly just touch on some of this. If you look at Wisconsin, Rights of Nature of Wisconsin.org, you'll see our website that we have there, and I have a lot of this information on it. So I don't want to go too in depth in it. I would rather have a conversation with everybody on this call a little bit more about this. But so basically, the realization that our current laws are not written with the environment in mind per se. They're not written to really stop anything. They're really written to allow things to happen up to a certain point. Some of the key elements I just wanted to place here, and you can read some of these. And recognition of nature as a living entity with legal rights, including rights to exist, regenerate, evolve, and be restored. Enforcement provisions, being able to do something with it where it's not just a talking piece, but actually has teeth. And I really always like that last, excuse me, I'm just getting over a little bit of a sickness, so you're going to have to forgive me a little bit if I'm coughing and things like that. But the last point there is I feel is really crucial, kind of like where we're at right now in this world is, as you all know, climate change is real, and we're moving as a country very close to a place that we might not be able to dig ourselves out of. And currently right now, there is some like remedial laws on the books that say if a company comes in here, they have to put up this certain amount of money if they pollute it, but it's never enough. And it's we have so many Superfund sites around here that the taxpayers really just basically take care of. So this last one, having a remedy for that violation of legal rights. So not only that these companies would be able to fix it, but they'd have to like clean the whole thing up and put it back to where it was. If you want to hit the next slide. So this is kind of just a little touching on a little bit more of what I was describing about before. The way that this current system sees the environment is really just like resources, things to be exploited, things to be used, and doesn't see it really truly as like a non-living commodity, or a living commodity, I should say. Again, the laws authorize the exploitation, of nature. They legalize all these things, if we are where we are because of the policies and the laws that are written right now in our environmental laws. Do you want to hit the next one? So I just put these up here really quick as a couple things that have happened. Some of the things here in our tribe we've worked on when we were fighting and still currently are actually fighting the Back 40 mine. One of the things that we did is we drafted a resolution to recognize the rights of the Menominee River. And as I didn't put these up here for you to read them, so I know you're probably squinting and wanting to read it. But a lot of this stuff is already, on our website. And if I'll put my email in the chat to you, if there's things you want to look at or whatever, you can email me and I can get these things to you. But this is the two the one next to the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin resolution is another resolution or a new rule that was drafted and put on the tribal laws. The other one was a movement in Florida that actually got looking for a constitutional change, and it got adopted there in that community. Do you want to hit the next slide? So these are some of the same. This is actually we're working on it right now. Is the actual Menominee constitutional amendment for rights of nature. So I'm sure you guys can all read this one, but we haven't moved on it yet. It's still kind of being kicked around a little bit, and we're looking that this year is we're gonna make a big push for this constitution, excuse me, to be amended here at home on the Menominee Indian Res. Next slide. So these next few cases I just wanted to talk about. I just wanted to highlight some of them. One of the things with rights of nature, at least from my perspective and what I'm trying to do, is really have the tribes lead the way, at least in thought and at least in values and morals. I feel like the tribes are the very first, environmentalists, I guess, if you want to think of it that way. When we have a deep connection with this land, we have a deep connection with the animals. We've been here for so very long, and we know the history of this place, and we know, and it knows ours. We have this reciprocal relationship. So I just wanted to throw a couple of these things in here. If you wanted to hit the next one. So this the one on I guess it's my left. I don't know what it is for you, but it says CDER on the right there is actually the movement in Florida that I was talking about earlier, and you can kind of see a timeline of what they did there in Orange County, Florida. I think it's the largest county in Florida. They actually got this onto the ballot in 2020, and were able to vote on it, and it overwhelmingly was adopted. And it started from a group that was trying to protect some wetlands from a developer who was looking to, I don't know, he had a crazy amount of wetlands he was gonna destroy to build a hotel, not hotel, I think homes or apartment buildings or something. And the one on the other side, the timeline is the Menominee. So back in 2018, the White Earth Band of Ojibwe in Minnesota, they passed a law called the Rights of Menominee, and Menominee is what they call wild rice, and Enbridge actually, Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, actually signed a permit to allow Enbridge to pump out, I think it was like 3 billion or 4 billion gallons of water. And when they did that, the White Earth Band of Ojibwe actually sued the state of Minnesota on their rights of nature law and sued them in tribal court. And it was a bold move. It was amazing. There was a lot of thought that went behind it from everybody that was involved. There's a gentleman that's the lead attorney there named Frank Bibbo, who's doing just tremendous work. And this thing is still working its way through. And I think, everybody that's kind of in the rights of nature movement understands the significance of what this potential action could do for us. There's not a whole lot of case law behind rights of nature. Like I said earlier, it's a really something new, legally speaking, and the White Earth Band is on that breaking ground of it. Next slide. So I just wanted to also add a little bit of some U.S. communities that are involved. The very first was actually in Tamaqua Borough in Pennsylvania in 2006. They were the first community, first anything, to adopt the rights of nature law actually in the world. Quite a few after Lafayette, Colorado in 2017. The one I talked a little bit about, Orange County, California, they adopted a charter amendment recognizing the rights of the Wekiva River and other waterways. Next slide. We'll probably move through these pretty quickly. These are just some of the other tribal nations, and there's quite a few more that are already doing other things. But the Ho-Chunk Nation here in Wisconsin, they took their first step to amend their tribal constitution. The Ponca tribe in Oklahoma in 2018. And like I said earlier, White Earth Band of Ojibwe in 2018. Next slide, please. So this just talks a little bit about what I kind of already described. White Earth doing. So they were the first, tribe to adopt a plant species, the recognition of a plant species. The plant Menominee, in our language they call it Menominee, is a very sacred plant, and the word Menominee is actually an Ojibwe word that they used to call us for being people of the wild rice. So they used to say that everywhere Menominee went, the wild rice followed them. And it's just as important to the Ojibwe people as well. They were actually guided over here by their elders and the prophecy, to find that place where food grows on water, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So you can move it to the next one. Next slide. Or is that it? Oh, that is it. Okay. Excellent. So there are a lot of different cases around the world. And one of the ones I wanted to bring up was a relatively early one, and I'm sure you heard about it. It was in Ecuador. They were the first country to enshrine the rights of nature in a national constitution. They did that in 2008. Bolivia also adopted its national rights of Mother Earth law in 2010. New Zealand in 2014. Colombia in 2016. India in 2017. New Zealand in 2017. So there's a whole lot more you can see around the world. I remember there was also a tribe in Canada too that had moved on some. This is some of the tribes that have also have some rights of nature laws, and some of them call them a little bit different. Like I said earlier, this is a really old concept, so a lot of these tribes already had things like this within their understanding, so they just kind of molded it a little bit to it. Is that the last slide? Oh yeah, here they all are. Yeah, if you want to you could just scroll through them, I suppose. So as you just watch those countries go around, like I said earlier, this is something new that doesn't have a whole lot of case law behind it. But that, to me, that's what's so exciting about it, is that we're at this forefront of being able to think about these things in this way. It's not necessarily let's do it this paper copy way and everybody's going to do it the same way, but that we have the opportunity really to mold it and finesse it in the way that makes sense for the community that's doing it. The rights of Menominee may not work for another tribe, or may not work for another community, but it's exciting to be at the forefront of something like this. And I'm so fortunate to be here. One of the other things I'll also mention is during that fight, and I don't remember I don't know if all you guys remember the Crandon mine fight. It was right on the precipice of the treaty fight, the hunting and fishing rights. So there was this bad blood between Indians and non-Indians, but then the Crandon mine fight came around, and they really banded together, to protect their river and their communities. And after they won, because they did win, they kicked Enbridge out of there, or Exxon, and they were able to pass a law called Prove It First law. And you could probably take this down if you want, if we can see, everybody can see each other. Because I kind of wanted to know, by maybe a show of hands or whatever, how many people know of that law, the Prove It First law. Not many. Okay, well, I mean, everybody else has got their screens off. So the other thing I would say is so the law basically stated that any kind of extraction company that came into Wisconsin needed to demonstrate to the state of Wisconsin that you operated a mine or whatever it is you did for 10 years, and then it was closed for 10 years. And in those 20 years that you didn't pollute your environment. And basically they called it a mining moratorium, because there's absolutely no way that any kind of extraction company cannot pollute their environment. That's what they do. That's their job. That's what they're about. So they got this passed, and it was a tremendous law. We've kept lots of things green and beautiful here. About 2 years ago, that law was rescinded by a gentleman by the name of Tom Tiffany, who was he was our district rep. He's now a state senator, unfortunately. They used to call him Toxic Tom. He really went. It's just crazy to me to think that one person can change something that like thousands of people had their hands on to do, and he did it in 4 months, and he did it by moving the job or the meetings around from different parts of the state. So one they held a public meeting in Ladysmith, and then 2 days later it was in La Crosse, and you only got 24 hours in advance to know how to get there, to even testify, to even try to fight it. So it was a real dirty way, and it gave me a really good view on two things that I learned. One, common sense isn't so common, and two, you're never going to change somebody's mind who's being paid not to, and that's just the way it is. So it really gave me a different understanding and worldview after going through that and seeing how quickly our government can just take away things. And I suppose all of us could probably go on and on about that. But I just wanted to just thank you again for allowing me to come here. I do see Michael Hoden is also on here, and he's a part of our Rights of Nature Wisconsin. If there's anything I missed, for sure, Michael, you want to add into it or whatever. But that's what I got for you.
Okay, so we've got some questions, Anahkwet. The first one is, where are there rights of nature groups in the state of Wisconsin, or active groups that are working?
Well, like I said, it's relatively new. So right now, we're probably the biggest group that's doing it. It's called the Rights of Nature of Wisconsin.org is our website. We're kind of spread around throughout the state, and one of the main ideas is we wanted to do was to work with each county to be able to pass a rights of nature resolution, and then hopefully work up to getting a amendment into our state constitution recognizing the rights of nature, and then eventually working into the federal constitution. I did hear of one, I think in Madison too, that was doing something similar, but I don't. We have a meeting coming up because it's so relatively new. I don't really know.
So if somebody was interested in the Madison area, which somebody asked that question, if there was a group in Madison, how would they find that group? Can they contact you, or how would they find
Actually,
you?
if you go on the website, there's a contact thing on there, and we'll be able to connect you with the right people.
Okay, so I put links to Rights of Nature Wisconsin in the chat. So if you would like to, get to that contact form and get to Anahkwet's website, it is in the chat. So Anahkwet, can you speak to the question of, as original habitat or inhabitants and caretakers of this land, it seems witnessing its degradation, beginning with industrialization, must be a sadness and concern. And the individual here asked if Mary asked if you could speak to that.
Well, I don't know if we have enough time for me to really talk about that question, but I something came to me during the height of COVID, and a lot of people were struggling. A lot of people were having a hard time, not only just with the disease itself, but also with being alone, being isolated. And it really highlighted for me the first time I really understood that, thank God I have a culture and I have an understanding that I know that I'm not alone. For us, the trees have stories with us. Our first interactions, the plants have those same stories, and all the animals and things, and I'm lucky enough to live out in the woods, so I was outside all the time, and really just connecting with our earth. And our belief is that we are the physical manifestations of the earth, us indigenous people, and we've been around here and witnessed many things, and I think it's come a time that these two people that live here, the dominant society and us, never really got to know us. You never really took the time to understand who we are, or where we come from, or whatever, or anything. And I think it's time for that, and I know a lot of our elders have talked about how it's time to start like teaching, and sharing these things that we were taught, and trying to get our people to understand, this language that you're carrying in your head comes with a whole lot of baggage, and it comes with a whole lot of, like, a whole big book of law, and sometimes you need to understand that maybe your response to some sort of whatever it is you're perceiving comes from that language rather than coming from you. And it's that connection with the earth that's so important. And I truly believe this, that the earth will be fine. The earth will be okay. If it takes 1,000,000 years or 1,000,000,000 years for the earth to replenish itself, it'll do it. It has that kind of time. But you and I, we don't have that kind of time. And I just feel like if we were each day would take time out of our day to just put ourselves in creation, to feel that earth underneath our feet and feel that deep connection, it would change the way we see things. It would change the way we understand our world. And it's not just something that's outside of us, or it's not just something that we use to benefit us, but it's actually quite different, opposite of that. It's actually a reciprocal relationship, and we need to take care of each other.
Thank you for that. So when we look at the rights of a corporation as opposed to the rights of nature, how does that play out from a legal standpoint?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. We work with an organization called CEDAR, CDER, Center of Democratic Environmental Rights. They were the co-founders are Thomas Lindsay and Mari Margill, and they're both lawyers, and they were involved in the very first drafting of Rights of Nature in Tamaqua Borough in Pennsylvania. And they also helped draft the Rights of Nature in Ecuador in their constitution. So as I spoke earlier, there's not a whole lot of case law. Rights of nature laws are, first of all, not in place to the point that they've been tested or that have been tried out yet. I mean, it's really relatively new where we are with it. And there's a lot of unknowns too within this. And I just feel like, we're at a point right now where we can kind of dream big and work together and figuring what this could do to help our community, whether it's a ecosystem, whether it's a river, whether it's a specific, plant or animal, whatever that is, whatever benefits each other and benefits the community. I don't know if that probably doesn't answer your question, but I do have Mari Margul, and if you send me something email, I'll get you an answer for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you said, this is relatively new, and so it hasn't been tested in the court of law extensively at this point in time. But let's say a person or a group of people wanted to try to put together a rights of nature resolution in their county. How would they get started? What would they do?
Again, on our website, we have all the contact information. We have, I believe, there are some templates on there. They'll be on there soon, and there are other examples of resolutions that we've worked with other counties on. The Milwaukee County resolution was something that we drafted and helped them draft. Actually, we didn't do it, but we helped them draft it and helped them put it into their own words. And I know Racine County right now is working on one that we're helping them with, and Mari Margul and Thomas Lindsay, who are both attorneys, and who really are gurus of this movement, have really been helpful with us and taking our questions and working with us. So if you'd go onto our website, I really feel like there's a contact button, for more information, and you just ask it that question, and you'd be able to, somebody will contact you and we'll get busy.
So and this is the last question I've got. You were talking about somebody coming in and let's say trying to do a mine, and the remediation aspect of that, they're supposed to set money aside for that. Is it the intent of a rights of nature resolution or law to get total remediation in whatever it is? I know with a mine that's nearly impossible, but there might be other aspects like in terms of water or in terms of a particular area of land. Is that part of having rights of nature resolution, or is it just not touching that area?
Well, I mean, again, I think it's really designed whatever that community feels that needs to be, that resolution needs to be. We all have our personal opinions. I remember somebody saying, excuse me, so you guys don't hunt deer? And it's like, well, yeah, we hunt deer, but instead of shooting all of them, we only shoot the ones we want. That's kind of the way we think about rights of nature. It's obviously there's going to be extraction in these things, and it's just that you can't destroy all of it or everything. The other thing I would just say to that is that we're hoping that whatever community our group of people that want to move on something like this really is connected to the area and to their land, and can really draft this resolution, whatever speaks for that community. Like I just kind of said earlier, it could be a waterway, or it could be, an individual species. It could be remediation, or it could be, whatever it is that's important to that community.
So we do have another question, and that is, what was the starting point in getting Milwaukee County on board?
Well, so the movement that we were doing had just caught wind, and we had a few folks that were a part of our Rights of Nature of Wisconsin that were from Milwaukee and felt like they wanted to move on something. So there was a group of people there that drafted this up and helped us, or had us help kind of put it together and moved it forward. I think it's the same sort of pathway that anybody else that's on this call, that wherever they are, they wanted to do in their county, that we would do the same thing. We would come in and help and try to be an asset and not take over or not tell you what to do, but to just try to help you design and put something together that speaks to the community.
So did you start with county supervisors or did you go straight to the county exec?
Yeah, well, we actually went right straight to the county executive in that particular case. You know, I think it can sometimes, other times it has started in a committee and then worked its way up, you know, that way too. In Racine County right now, that's the way it kind of started, is through I don't know what it was, a land conservation committee or something, I think, started it.
Any other questions that people have for Anahkwet? Okay, so I would say what I'm walking away with is that if I have interest in this topic, to go to the Rights of Nature Wisconsin website and fill out that contact form in order to, you know, get things started. And from my perspective, you know, if you can find 2, 3, 4 other people who are interested, that's really always helpful. And, you know, look at here in Waukesha County, I would say, you know, one of the resources that is really important in Waukesha County are the lakes. You know, we're known for lake country, and there are a lot of issues with our lakes and waterways in Waukesha County. So thank you, Anahkwet. This is really informative. It was a really good starting point for people to get an idea of rights of nature and what they might be able to do about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. And we recorded tonight. We're going to be sending it out within the next day or so, along with all of the links that were provided on the screen, all of Anahkwet's contact information. Again, you can go to rightsofnaturewisconsin.org. Did I get that correct? I really hope so. Yes. All right. Well, thank you all. I hope you